I'm doing a lot of public speaking and try to inspire young generation, because this is the only key. It's from the bottom, from the young. I don't know if Paulina, your thought came back in this.
It was about future generations, the power of social media. So you said, why aren't more men speaking out about this? Lately, sometimes I see on social media, the reels always come in recommended. So there'll be some that are created by men, and they say, my wife goes to work at night. These are the errands. And they're like, but these are not her errands. These are our errands, because we're in a marriage and this is a partnership. This isn't her job. Should be our job. With social media, I just had the conversation earlier this with Gen Z. Some people want to argue that they're more open to talking about their identity, different other types of thoughts. And I do agree with that, not even just in terms of identity, but because we get all this information that we previously didn't get. Previously, you had to deliberately go on Google or deliberately go talk to people. The algorithm, right? We always talk about the algorithm. It knows what to feed you.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready? Nope. For a long journey where our podcast released a new epi, searching for a fade feeling, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text some friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talk your wisdom out of.
Welcome in, everyone. This is episode 122, The Cost of Being a Woman, with our guests, Polina and Yasmina. I did not do that intentionally, ladies. I wish I was a poet, but to have rhyming names there, wow. I mean, this is a dream for me. Ladies, I kind of wanted to give our audience just a little bit of introduction for you guys. I decided to go alphabetical order. We have Polina. She's a financial manager at the United States Department of the Army. Went to a great law school in my hometown, but she went to the University of Richmond Law School, and it was really cool. Another podcast. Let's talk about why you went there, because that's my hometown. I'd like to know your opinion of it. So thank you for joining us, Polina. And we also have Yasmina. She's a senior project manager at Hitachi Solutions Europe, UK Regional Ambassador, GTA, Black Women in Tech, DEI speaker, Prince 2, Scrum certified. Joining us from the United Kingdom. So thank you, Yasmina.
Thank you, Donato.
Yasmina, I lived in Europe, never went to United Kingdom. So when I have that other episode with Polina for her to tell me about where I'm from, I'm going to do one with you. And then you need to tell me why I need to come to United Kingdom, because there's so many other distractions throughout Europe that kept me from coming there. Why didn't I go? I loved Germany. I loved Belgium. I loved France. I mean, I don't know why I never went. It's so shocking to me, but that's a whole nother series. Polina, I told Yasmina, I said, you haven't heard the last of me. I think I'm going to be trying to do another episode with you. And, well, here we are. And then every time I come in, I say, well, you haven't heard the last of me. So, ladies, that's what happens. That's what happens when you're popular. Everybody wants to get on your calendar. Am I right?
It's true.
So, ladies, I kind of want to start with the title of the episode leads everyone into where we want to go today. I'm just shocked that there are still traces of sexism that we find in 2024 through direct or indirect means. It makes me come to the point where I believe that a lot of men don't understand that there is a pink tax. I believe also a lot of men have not gotten into the conversation, which is what we're going to get into today. And so I'm hoping that this will open their eyes to items they have never considered. Well, what would you say, Polina, in 2024, direct or indirect means of sexism? How does that hit you there?
Well, as a mom of girls, I see in the fact that when you buy sporting gear, there's a very limited variety and it has to be pink and it costs more. Let's start there.
Yeah.
We don't need to tell girls that they have to have pink, because let's say pink is not my favorite color. And look, that doesn't make me any less of a woman. And I don't need to I have two different variety of shoes. They either come in pink or white or pink or white. So that right there. And why does it have to cost more? It's the same thing. So you know what? I have no problem walking over the boys section and getting an item from the boys section that my girls will actually probably enjoy a lot more.
It's so funny you say that. I coach youth sports, and I run into the problem that a lot of our equipment looks the same. I have two girls on my team that have the exact same glove, and the parents told me that they hate that. I have 3 or 4 girls that have the exact same bat. Now, these are 4 to 6-year-olds, and that just tells you the lack of variety there in just that we can't even, the parents are unhappy that someone else has a glove that looks like their daughter's. They would like to have a variety. And don't get me started on trying to find 4 to 6-year-old softball versus just t-ball baseball for little boys. There's not that much of a difference there. So when it comes to sporting goods, I definitely can see what you're saying there. Yasmina, when I said that, when I started with still traces of sexism that we find in 2024 through direct or indirect means, where's the first place that you go when you heard that?
Work environment.
Oh,
Working environment. So I don't have children, so I can't enter in the same I would say game that you just enter because I'm not have children. However,
yeah.
however,
Take your time, please. Take your time with that. Don't rush it.
However, in a working environment, it's quite obvious that those differences are still there. I'm not talking about salary.
Yeah.
Salary is quite obvious, everyone knows that. But even from I would say a daily basis, or as you said, I'm a senior project manager, right? And I'm working in digital transformation in the tech industry, and I'm working only with men.
Huh.
It's just only with men. So there definitely are a lot of, you see these differences, genders differences.
Yes.
And what is interesting is the few women that are in this industry have a very strong personality, like I have. But you know why? It's because otherwise you can't survive.
Yeah. You know,
So I don't know, Paulina, if you agree with that, but that's my first thought.
Oh, absolutely. Because I actually have females reaching out and asking me, and they are now in the same position that I used to hold. And they say, did you have trouble getting your supervisors to listen to you or understand your job? I lead with no, just because I know my personality and I know the type of individuals I'm dealing with, but I'm not the norm in my work environment. And then the same thing when you're in meetings, you can say the same thing as a male, but their answer gets more respect, or it's like, oh, I never heard that before, even though the female just said that.
100% agree.
Wait, so Polina could just say something, and then I could come right over top and say, no, I believe that if we put that lamp over there, we would have so much more light in the room. And then everyone says, Eureka! Well, let's go with what Donato said.
It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true.
That's we're not getting off to a good start here. I want some of our listeners to have that moment where they can say, "Oh, I never really thought of that." Polina, you mentioned earlier, this was actually my next point. So we're on the great wavelength here. The pink tax is the additional price women have to pay on particular items, no matter the similarity to men's consuming the twin version. Why is this normalized? I'll start with you this time, Yasmina. Why is that normalized?
Extremely good question. I truly think it's because women are first. So, for instance, in general, in the pink tax, we see the differences with the hygienic products. So, it's like a deodorant.
Yes.
For a woman and a man, it's going to be, the price would be different. But if you look at the ingredient list, it's quite similar, except from the perfume, which is going to be different. But it's because they know that women are the primary buyers. So this is where they need to have more margin. So then it becomes like a normal way of I would say, behaving by all the different companies, because they know that in any case you need to target first women, because those are the women, even if you have a family, those are the women that are managing the family, the house, and are going to buy. So that's why it becomes normal, because it's the first, you need to target the right customer. And therefore, you know that it's going to be the woman that's going to have the final decision. Even for deodorant, your husband. Oh well, no worries. I can take care of it. I take the deodorant for you. No worries. As long as I take mine, you don't really care about.
Yeah.
So I think that's why then it becomes in the company's mindset. That's kind of normality. It's just normal rules.
Yeah.
Better margin, woman. Products.
No matter the gender, the price is accepted to be unequal. One thing I had here, Polina, thank you for joining us. One of the reasons why I chose you is because you are dealing with that balance of being a mom. A onesie for a boy and a onesie for a girl, prices are different. Baby shoes, priced different. Polina, is that something that my quick research has brought me to, and you could confirm?
So I think when they're that little, it's not that big of a difference, because I'm like going through my collection of shoes. I know the variety of girls' shoes are actually going to be a lot bigger. So you're going to have more likely to have your pink, purple Uggs. But this is why I may have a boy wearing girl clothes, because I'm not going to go buy boy clothes when I already have girl clothes. And that the only difference is that it's a salmon color. We don't even have to call it pink. But yeah, it starts as young as that. And even with the type of items marketed to girls, like bows. So you're going to have your bows. You're going to have your hair clips. Does a baby need a hair clip? Absolutely not. There's no hair to clip. Let's start there.
Yeah.
And then you also go with the other thing is people really go focus on piercing kids' ears when they're babies. That's not something I chose to do, because that's not how my mom decided to live my life. She just said, you decide when you get your ears pierced. But so we also have this focus that young girls have to have their ears pierced. So we're already setting the kind of a goal that you're always going to be jewelry focused early on. So then that's why shops like Claire's with the jewelry marketed for young kids, they don't need the jewelry. They don't need that at that young age, but we're already ingraining that here's another cost, literally another cost that you will have to have. And then it builds kind of a society of, why do women always need so much makeup? Why do they need all this jewelry, all this perfume? Well, it's not really our fault. That's just how everything's been set up since we were young.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think about that when it came to the jewelry, and I like how you phrased that. I'll be coming back for that one. I gathered that there was a over $100 trillion difference between men and women's total expected lifetime earnings. You started with that, Yasmina, when we were earlier, just to talk pay disparities. I have an article from one.org, and it said over the course of their lifetimes, there is an earning difference of, in US dollars, Yasmina, 172 trillion between men and women. And here's why. An employed woman will still only make 77% of a man's wages. And that gap can change depending on a woman's race, education, and more. And that was another reason with you two. I'm so glad you guys were able to come, because I have some variety here. I think we started with Yasmina. Polina, what would you like to say when it comes to the lifetime earnings and that pay gap that I just mentioned?
Well, at first you said and more. You know what the and more means? Women who choose to have children.
Oh.
Exactly this. Exactly.
Oh.
So,
man.
Yes. So we as a society expect that, at the end of the day, we want to say that, oh, gender roles, it's okay, we don't care about them, but we really do. So we're still going to put all this expectation on a female that You run the household. Like Yasmina said, you're in charge of the shopping, the appointment making, remembering everyone's next dental visit, right? And then on top of that, you're expected to take care of children, have them, whatever the journey, whether it's biological, adoptive, uh, taking care of family members, like that's on you. So we expect that, but then we, as a society, we don't do anything to realize the value of doing all that because people, you take a man and he'll complain about his day-to-day activities. Well, a
Yeah.
woman will sit there and listen about his day-to-day activities, and then on top of that, add everything else she does. But she's not going to say anything about it. She's just going to say, okay, sure. She's going to, because she probably has to look like she's on his team, especially in a work environment. We can't create friction. We can't show how our lives are worse than yours. We have to say, okay, yeah, we understand. You're just so busy. You're so tired. But it just goes unspoken as to everything that a female, no matter the family situation, no matter anything, right? There's still a lot more that's expected, and that pay disparity. There are very few jobs where a woman and a man get paid the same amount, right? So the U.S. Army military service, that's probably the only place that comes to mind where I know how much you'll get paid as a man and a woman based on your time in service and your rank.
Wow.
Because they're transparent, and if you go online and you look at how much a person will make, it's not based on what color you are, what language you speak. Well, you can get paid for language, right? But at the end of the day, it's not based on are you a man or a woman. It's here's how much you make. What other organization or company can you go online and look exactly what both genders would make?
Yeah. Wow. I never thought about that outside of the military or government service of just a position. Ugh. That's a good. I didn't realize that. Thank you for that. Yeah, Yasmina, over 172 trillion US dollars. Wow. Yasmina, tell me that unfortunately you have nothing to say about it because you know that your pay is so equal to everybody else's.
You know me, right? You can go to the other questions. I have nothing to say about it. I mean, everything is perfect. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. I mean,
Yes.
the thing is, I mean, what is interesting with the statistics, because I also did some research before, is like it's the same over time. It's not like it's going to stagnate. We don't have any stagnation. It's just the same. It's just increasing very slightly years after years. And that's, I think, here the issue is, because it's what do we do for the statistic to, okay, it's fine. Today in 2024, it's still like this. Maybe in 2025, it needs to be to decrease. So so in Hitachi Solutions, for instance, we are really very, very focusing on this disparity between men and women. I'm part of the diversity, equity, inclusion leadership group, so I can tell you that we are doing everything to avoid this gap. It's not easy, of course, but this is part of if you have people that are really personally involved and want things to change, you need to start from the inside. So that's why you start to know me as well. I'm very, very focusing on DEI, and
Yes.
and that's why I'm trying to really highlight all those different kinds of inequalities. There is gender, but as you said, there is also the ethnicity.
Yes.
Because Paulina, you're a woman, we are both women. I can tell you that if you add on the top, you are a black woman, it's different. It's another hat on the top. And we all of us needs to be aware of that. And the other thing as well is when you are a mom, it's another hat as well, because when you need to take the maternity leave, that's what explains most of the gender inequality. Because when you go into the maternity leave for 6 months, sometimes 1 year, you can't work. Therefore, but a man will.
Yes.
So when it's the annual review, it's gonna step up where you're gonna just it's gonna be a stagnation for you.
Yeah.
So that's the first. When you speak to an employee, the first thing's gonna be, but how do we deal with the maternity leave? Because if I can't promote someone that didn't work during that. That's tricky.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I had a point here. Every additional year a girl is in school can boost her future earnings by up to 20%. For young girls, I don't even know when a person would even try to offer that to them as they're progressing through life. But Polina, I made the joke that you went to and graduated, got your law degree from my hometown. I would imagine that the differences that a person that has a law degree earning and just a high school graduate are already going to be vast. But when I tell you of that statistic that I got there, how do you see that? How do you see that the additional boost comes from an additional year in school?
You could say additional boost, but at the end of the day, right? So a man and a woman graduating law school, what boost is there in comparison? He's still going to make more because, oh, by the way, the legal profession has always been a good boys club, right? So just now, I think now we have like the most applicants, and we're the most in terms of most diverse in terms of individuals attending law school, because I think I know growing up I thought, oh, I can't go to law school. That's a white man's job. I thought that. And then I also speak a foreign language. So I thought, oh, that's definitely not for anyone who's not English speaking. So sure, you can go get that boost, but at the end of the day, you're still behind, because that boost you would have got,
Yeah,
you're still competing in a male dominated society. You're still going to be against males, and they're still getting a boost just by virtue of their gender.
Yasmina, have you seen that there are women that have additional schooling, additional degrees, certifications, and even though they have that, they might not even be making as much as a guy that has maybe just one certification?
It's always, we try to add certification, more degrees to reduce. We say, okay, well, we're going to be more equipped. So when we go into the workplace, at least I can maybe, I would say, compete and have the same salary if we talk about salary. But at the end of the day, as Polina said, when you go into the workplace, you still compete. Because you're a woman, you will be treated differently. So even if you have like all those, let's say that it's just you get an additional hat, but it can slightly help, yes, slightly. But if we go to get pregnant, it's still the same thing. We'll still face the same issues again. So yes, it's good to have multiple degrees. It's excellent. But when you go back then into the workforce and we need to, rather than the promotion, well, you'll see that someone that has the same title as you, same role, same a year of experience, is going to be promoted before you because he's a man. And don't take about gender or age as well, because age is also another inequality, diversity, say issue. But so it's just like you try to, the starting point, let's say two people or young generation, young people, they did the same school, the same degrees, they go into the workplace, both same, the same gender, age, everything, equal. You'll see that the promotion and the salary will be different for both of them, just because the person is a woman, the other is a man. It's horrible, but that's the truth. And I'm sure Polina, you agree with this, because we are both in different industries, but we facing the same reality.
Yeah, and that actually made me think of another topic or another point. So if you take a man, and in this case, like we'll just say a mom, right? So when you explain the same degrees, same accomplishments, when the mother says that, the mom, people are like, oh wow, you did all that and you had kids.
Yes,
so they acknowledge that it's difficult, but you don't get anything to show for it. Not that you need like a badge, like, oh, I survived motherhood, but even there's a lot of females that say, oh wow, I don't know how you work, how you go to school, how you have kids, and you still have a marriage, they go, wow. So everyone acknowledges that that's almost an extra degree in of itself, but you don't have anything to show for it in terms of the financial need that you actually need, because everything's expensive. Kids are expensive, husbands are expensive, spouses, partners, they're all expensive. So you just kind of go like, yep. And so at some point, there's no even need to mention all your degrees and what you do, because the first badges that they see of parents or a mom is that, oh yeah, she's a mom. And then if you add on top of that, your accomplishments, then you're either, some people may see it as bragging. But at that point, you're just like, it's not worth the shock on people's faces that you have accomplished everything, as if, again, your gender role is diminished to just being capable of one thing and not multiple things. Just stay in the house. That's your job. You have kids, stay in the house, right? Don't go to work. How do you work full time? Wow. So that's Yasmina, you just brought that out. So clearly you see, I get that response a lot from people. And so a lot of times just easier not to bring up a lot of what you do day to day.
Don't matter, if you allow me just to what Polina said, just very quickly, it reminds me the fact that in general, so my friends that have children, all of my family, there's always saying, well, when they finish the day job, they are studying the other job,
Mm-hmm.
go back home. Sometimes you even actually pick up the children in the school, need to cook, need to clean. It's another job. As you said, Polina, it's quite normal. No, it's not. It's another job. It's really, really another job. And then you also have to deal with then your couple as partners or husband, wife. It's different roles, quite heavy roles throughout the day.
And then if you think about the single moms, because people tend to look down on single moms because, oh, well, they didn't manage, whatever. Most people go to the negative. They couldn't manage a relationship, but we don't know what other things exist out there. Some people are single parents, single moms by choice, right? But then, so instead of empowering them, because now they're doing another job at home by themselves and they don't have support to rely on. But we just want to diminish, like, oh, they weren't capable. They as females weren't capable of something in their life. And that's why they're dealing with that. Like, kind of, they deserve that attitude that you get from people sometimes.
It's so true. Sorry, Donetta, you can see Polina and I are very, we want even you to talk now. We look like together. We are like.
This is amazing. No, you guys are hitting points. I was loving it. It was like watching a tennis match. It was just back and forth. The last thing I wanted to do was raise my head up. Polina, you gave me a whole nother episode I need to do, and I'm going to call it Boy Toys. And I just want to have wives up there to talk about how expensive it is to have a husband, because he wants this motorcycle and he wants this fast car, and he's a gamer, so he's got to buy he has to have the most expensive gaming system and all the latest games that come out. Oh my gosh. And
I could go on for days.
Days? Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
I was hoping I could stop there. That's it. That's the only thing, guys. You're gonna
I'll throw one out there. I play basketball once a month, but I need those brand new basketball shoes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So he has a pair to play in and a pair to rock. So he just walks around in one pair, but he's got another pair to play in. Yeah, I see that. I might even be guilty of that. No, it's I'm gonna come back to that. That's gonna be really cool. I have an article by Catherine Hahn, March 1st, 2024. This was published in Forbes magazine. Gender Pay Gap Statistics was the name. General wage gap statistics. Women earn 16% less than men on average. Women earn just 84 cents for every dollar a man makes. Women of color are among the lowest paid workers in rural areas, with rural Black and Hispanic women making just 56 cents for every dollar that rural white non-Hispanic men make. We didn't even fully dive into that there are differences. We just been talking gender. We didn't get into ethnicity. we didn't get into locality, and I mean, I could make this a 3-hour podcast now if I even go down those lanes. I started with Polina last time. Yasmina, are you trying to tell me that somehow something that a person has no control over when it comes to their ethnicity factors in to their pay, and it is common knowledge, but still hasn't been fixed? Where does that take you when I say that women of color are among the lowest paid workers in rural areas? Is where I took this one from, that article, with rural Black and Hispanic women making just 56 cents for every dollar that rural white non-Hispanic men make.
It's a 3 hours podcast. So
yeah.
You mean 30 hours?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, as you said at the introduction, right? I'm the UK regional ambassador for GTI Black Women in Tech. GTI Black Women in Tech is international organization that is promoting Black women and the excellence of Black women in the tech industry. And for that, we are tackling different, I would say, areas. We have schools, we have research, we have events. Why I'm saying this is because why do we need, for instance, an organization for Black women in the tech industry? That answers your question, right?
Yes, it does.
Because it's a real fact. And it's not only by women, by the way, because I remember I had a very deep conversation with a very close colleague, Black close colleague. So gender, ethnicity, I would say gaps are almost equally the same for men and women. That's at least something where we can agree on. And we even say sometimes it's harder for men than women in ethnicity. So it's still the case, and unfortunately, I'm not sure we can fix it like this, or even in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, 10 years time. The situation is always better than, let's say, 10 years back, but there are still many things to do because it's inside the society's mindset, and we have unconscious bias.
Yeah.
Unconscious bias means that you're going to have, let's say you receive 2 resumes. One is, I'll take my surname, Bombonjoya. The other one I take, so that's my birth surname. If I take my marital birth name, Passeri. 2 resumes, Bombonjoya, Passeri. Passeri sounds more like, so Bombonjoya, you're going to think maybe this person came from, so because I'm French, so I was going to say maybe he's foreigners, maybe he doesn't have the documents, or even he has documents, but maybe I will have to think about the visa and stuff, but it's already headaches. Oh, let's think about, Passeri. It's the same, they have the same roles, same quality, not qualities, but background and stuff. Okay, you know what, I don't want to think about it. Let's go into Passeri. And that's the truth. And that's why I'm using Yasmina Passeri more than Yasmina Bombonjoya.
Yeah. I can understand that. True. I'm so curious, when some of the items that we've already talked about, what did I start with? How can this be in 2024? Every human treaty that has ever been written would outlaw this. And I said earlier, but it's normalized. Do we have to write another human treaty? I mean, how are we still at this point? That I really don't know the answer to. And I had to come back. I was halfway down, and when I was making these points, and I just had to ask myself, how is this not outlawed? How is it not something? I don't see any guys married brothers who have sisters, I have not seen one guy in my entire adult life take up a stance to say this should be outlawed, to fight for equality for women. Seriously. And I'd love any of my listeners to help me with that and show me a post for them. I always make the joke to some of my friends, what's today's cause? Because, and I say that because, we're all in on this cause right now, but we don't keep that same energy even a year later. We're right back to normality. We took down that filter. Cause is gone. Is the cause fixed? No, but I'm on to a new cause. I really don't, I can't say it. I can't say that. So this brings me to the point of asking you just a little bit further, ladies. How do males not understand this when some of them have wives? Some of them have mothers. All of them have mothers, but I meant alive sisters. How do we still miss that? Why do we overlook it, Polina?
Well, like Yasmina said, it's not something you can fix overnight, right? So it's just decades and decades. So it's a long-standing history, whatever, no matter whose history we're talking about. But if you grow up in a society where you see what the gender roles have been accepted, and that's what's been going on for decades, and you have that history, whether you talk about it or you see it, how do you undo something that's been going on? If we've always boiled water this way, how do you start boiling water a new way? Right? Simple things like that. And then I lost my train of thought. Oh, man. I had a good point.
I can maybe add a bit and come back.
Yeah.
Just maybe, Paulina, the time that it's going to come back, I'm sure. It's the young generations. That's the key. That's why when I said earlier with GTI Black Women in Tech, there are different areas because we need to take up all of them. So if you only think about adults, you say about, well, why don't we have brothers, men, standing up like about, well, women's rights. First of all, because those adults now, a lot of them may be ashamed and afraid on how people's going to look at them if they're talking about the woman, even though they know that the sisters, the wife are very, I would say, targeted by this. They would be afraid or ashamed of this. That's why I really like the letter with you, is when we had our first podcast, is because your wife, you fell in a post that I've been on LinkedIn, something and recognize your wife in it. And so you stepped in and you did this podcast. I mean, if it would be perfect, things can really change if every man think about it. But because you have the courage to do that. But a lot of men don't have it, not because they're not courageous, just because it's very complicated. Then you're going to face all the criticism, feedback and stuff. Are you ready to do that, to take that? No, maybe no. But young generation, this is where you're going to tackle this unconscious way of thinking, or the way that the society is raising them in a way. If you go when they are still young, this is where you can not refresh, but I would say bring to the brain another aspect that they don't see at home, but they're going to see then when you have speakers at school coming, when you have women sharing their life experience. That's why, for instance, in my case, I'm doing a lot of public speaking and try to inspire young generation, because this is the only key. It's from the bottom, from the young. I don't know if Paulina, your thoughts came back in this.
It did. Because it was actually, it was about future generations and the power of social media. So you said, why aren't more men speaking out about this? Lately, sometimes I see on social media some, like, the reels always come in recommended. And so there'll be some that are created by men, and they say, my wife goes to work, and then at night these are all the errands, and they're like, but these are not her errands, these are our errands, because we're in a marriage and this is a partnership. This isn't her job. Should be our job. And then with social media, so I just had the conversation earlier this week that So Gen Z, some people want to argue that they're more open to talking about their identity and different other types of thoughts. And so I do agree with that, not even just in terms of identity, but because we get all this information that we previously didn't get. Previously, you had to deliberately go on Google or deliberately go talk to people. Now the algorithm, right? We always talk about the algorithm. It knows what to feed you. So they get more information from different parts of the world. And then the next generation Alpha, right? They're just growing up on the digital world. So instead of fighting against it, you just need to embrace it, because now they can be exposed to different cultures earlier on. And so they're going to have a different mindset, and they are the future, because then they know from a young age, well, I remember, my mom and my dad, they did this, or my mom went to work every single day. So it's okay for me to be a female and go to work, or it's okay for me to not do this because it's been done this way. So it's definitely the power of social media. Social media, people want to bash it, but at the end of the day, it really does have gives people a voice that would otherwise be ashamed, or they wouldn't have anyone who would listen to them. That's the other thing. So you could, if you're growing up in a homogenous society, whether that's by language or by family dynamic, and you go talk to them, are they going to listen to you? Probably not. But if you can get those followings, if you can enter those group chats or those groups, and now you have conversations with like-minded individuals, that gives you hope that, oh, okay, so I do have a voice and I can work towards changing something somehow.
Ladies, you bring me to a point where I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to give an example, and I may be a little long-winded on it. I'll try to talk fast on it. You both agree that we have to get the future generations, but that current generation, those currently in the workplace, how come I've never heard of forums in a workplace? The workplace will have meetings, impromptu meetings on anything. We'll have an impromptu meeting to talk about a fantasy football league, to here in America, Yasmina, to talk about March Madness. It's the college basketball, the tournament brackets. That'll be an impromptu meeting, and everyone will show up because they can win $50 from it. I've not once heard of an impromptu meeting to talk about these issues we've talked about today. This brings me to a point. If I told you both that there was a young United States Army lieutenant, and she's doing some field exercises during the summer, and in sweltering heat, she's under a rain poncho trying to breastfeed, to pump milk that she's going to send back to her newborn. When her husband finds out about this, he wants to not only come to where she's at, but he wants to, this is guy code, he wants to strangle, if not put these knuckles on her superior, because there is no way that he thinks that his wife should have to be subjected to pumping breast milk under a rain poncho in sweltering heat outside. Now, that husband knows that his wife shouldn't be treated that way. That husband knows that his wife's superior is a father. So how does that guy miss that boat? How does he not understand that if that was happening to his wife, he'd be just as mad? So my question is, in the workplace, these impromptu meetings, young ladies are trying to have their topics brought up. And is it on the ladies to have to do that? And why can't the superiors, some of those bosses that are male, married, have daughters, have sisters, why can't we do that? Sorry, I told you that would be a little long-winded, but Yasmina, what are your thoughts on maybe just having an open forum? That way some of the current generation, not the Gen Zs, could be like, oh, I never thought that. I'm still a single dude, never been married, I have no sisters. I've never thought about that.
When you were talking, it was just like my mind was going in over and over and thinking about different situations. I mean, I 100% agree with you. And that's why I can take examples, a lot of them, but I would say one that comes to my mind right away is as part of the DI leadership team, Leadership Solutions. It's difficult. It's difficult to make the senior leadership team, let's say, when you want to bring this kind of topic on the table, they know that there are those differences, those gaps, and they have wives, they have sisters, they know that.
Yeah.
But when you bring on the table, it's like, yes, we know it, but what do you propose? Yes, we know it, but it's not exactly like this. Or they analyze it until a point, or they also feel I would say they just don't know what to do. And I'm talking about this company, but I can also take other companies where I work for. It's difficult to openly talk about this conversation without having a strong defensive reaction. That's the word, defensive. When we tackle this kind of topic, we go directly in defensive mode. Yeah, but why do you say that? No, but well, I disagree, or no, it's not like this here in the company, or well, I know what you're saying, but if you go back to the industry 20 years ago, we only have men, so it's normal that 20 years afterwards you only have women. No, that's true. That's a fact. That's true. But it doesn't explain everything. So it's difficult to tackle this kind of topic because it also touches personal experiences. But we are in a work environment. So you can't have, or only a few people are able to step in the workforce as they would have done also in their personal life with another kind of environment. Because the workplace, well, it's work, and we just need to talk about how to run the business, money and stuff. But when it's going to personal environment, we go into feelings, we go into it's emotionals. Your mother, your sister, you get emotions. So you can have the same person having a different behavior at work or with your sisters or wife outside of work. It's a shame, but unfortunately that's the way it is. And we need people that are not afraid to step up. And that's what I was saying earlier, Donato. I think it's great what you're doing, because this is you are stepping in front of everyone in the same way that I'm sure you're doing in a personal life. But we need, as Polina said earlier as well, social media, speak up. People and bring the words and the voice of people that they think about it, they agree, 100% agree, but they don't have the courage for whatever reason to step in and share their opinion or try to make things change in front of everyone, because they're afraid of feedbacks and what people can say about them.
Lena, you've worked with the U.S. Army. You mentioned earlier that there were opportunities to see equal pay based off of that person's time in service and rank. What are your thoughts when it comes to being a mother and being able to have the ability, the location to trying to think of the best way to phrase it without stepping on myself, but being able to collect the breast milk that you would like to package to use at a later date and or time. I've worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies, and not once have I ever seen a location for pumping breast milk. And so just brings me to the point. I know a lot of guys that were married I know a lot of guys have sisters that had kids. And so how can that be overlooked?
So I will give credit though. We have made progress in the less than decade since my first to my last. So we now have like airports, for example, will have lactation pods. There are rooms that are designated as changing rooms and nursing rooms in various locations. So I do see that more often than 8 years ago. So I will give credit that we are at least acknowledging that this is a need, and um, it's great. There's also great different technologies to accommodate moms too that for the process. So that's awesome too. So you said these men that you've worked, you're right, they've had moms, wives, whatever. Chances are those females probably didn't go into work. They probably stayed at home. So they didn't need the accommodations because they were in places where they're in the house, right? Or they're not really traveling at that time when they need to take care of their children. So so a lot of people just don't know, and it is on women to bring it up and educate people at the end of the day, because I know what I need. I know what accommodations I need. I know what that looks like for me, which is also very personalized for another female, because our process may not be necessarily the same. Also, time may not be the same. So we have to educate that, look, you can't just tell me it's going to take 30 minutes, because for some people, it may take 10, but for others, they may need 45, right? And that, so people just don't know, and if they don't know, it's also like it's hard for them to understand how to accommodate you. So you do have to speak up, but that goes back to the only like there's very few strong individuals, both men and women, who are willing to speak up for themselves and advocate for themselves. I know very many men that they would just roll over for their supervisors, even if they knew what they're doing isn't wrong. And so with females, you have the added step of I have to tell people what I need, I have to educate them, I have to be okay with speaking up, knowing that people may look at me and say like, oh well, she's just very emotional. Insert all the adjectives people use about women when they speak their voice. Oh well, oh, she thinks she's entitled. Oh, she thinks she's better than us, because all I'm saying is, well, I'm not putting you down. I'm just speaking facts or my truth. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. So like, and there are policies now taking place. This is what should happen. But again, implementation is one thing, from policy writing, right? So just like you said, why aren't there laws or rules for this? Well, look, you can write all the paperwork all day, but people have to follow it. That's why we still have breakers. That's why we still have the court system, and then the prison system. Although none of that is perfect or ideal, but we have those for a reason, because you can say one thing, but it doesn't mean people are going to do what they should be doing or what is right. So it's a lot of work, and that's another power of social media. Right now, we can unite like-minded females, and we can work together across different forums. So maybe in my work field is different from Yasmina's, but we can have similar conversations. Like, oh, you're dealing with that too. I'm dealing with that too. Well, what are you doing in your organization to make them better? What practices can I take to mine? And another thing you mentioned, right? So men talking about basketball, fantasy, sports, what have you. That's a passion. They're interested in that. Are they interested in women's rights? No. Nobody sits around talking about the topics.
Polina, you brought up something that I wanted to follow up there before I go back to Yasmina. I come from a time where I remember that there were smoke breaks. And so we know everyone has a lunch break, and there's smoke breaks, there's fantasy football breaks, there's college basketball breaks where you can go over to another cubicle and you can start talking about your fantasy football team this weekend. And American football, Yasmina, it's a thing here. Oh my gosh. If I told you, Yasmina, the inefficiencies in the United States of America when it comes to us talking about our fantasy football teams, you would look down on us. So I would imagine, kind of to what you were saying, are there pump breaks during that time where you're trying to pump when you're in that lactation room? Does the world get to stop to allow you that time, or do you feel pressured to condense that to doing it during your lunch break? because I know the emails don't stop. I know people won't step back. But if you take all the time that a person goes to talk about fantasy sports or just other sports, you mush that together, the smoke breaks, the social media time, it's the same amount of time as a pump break. But what are your thoughts when I ask you about that? A pump break. Does that happen?
Well, it's because you have a title for it, right? Well, all the other breaks you mentioned, even smoking now, we're in the U.S. we're frowning down upon it. I mean, we have vaping, but for the most part, we're not as we don't smoke in restaurants anymore. So it's still, if you smoke, there's some stigma attached to it, or there's some, oh, these people are XYZ, right? As usual, we like to label people. So I think that smoke breaks generally are less of a thing now. But everything you mentioned is not an official break. It's not written down somewhere. So even now, I'm not 100% educated on all the policies when it comes to breaks, lactation breaks. But that's going to be also dependent on where you work, what their policy is, because some people try to make their policy more restricted than other policies, right? So if you're entitled as an employee for X amount of time, some people will say, well, but you haven't worked here long enough to be afforded that. And people don't know their rights. So they think, well, my supervisor said I only have 15 minutes or I'm fired. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's easy to say, here's what you're entitled to, but realistically, your lunch break comes around. How many people take lunch when they're supposed to? How many people actually leave lunch for a simple, or when they have not leave, but let's say, do people have their meal on time? How many times does the meeting run late and you don't even have a meal? So if you don't have your meal on time or you forget to eat, you imagine trying to step away, find the time to do what you need to do. How many, even the simple thing like, oh man, I really need to run to the restroom, but I can't because I'm having this phone call, I'm on this email, I'm on this meeting. So you're sitting there and you're like, I really need to go. I really need to go. But if you can't even take care of that simple necessity, what makes you think that you're going to have the time to take care of your other necessity, right? And so we can say, well, we have all this stuff written down. Again, it's one thing to have it written down, but another thing to actually allow people. And who's going to come in and say, hey, Donato, have you taken lunch yet? Well, why don't you please walk away from your email and go take your lunch? Same thing. Who's going to be like, oh, Yasmina, I noticed you haven't had your coffee, your tea today. Like, you should probably go have that because it's already 10 o'clock and I haven't seen you do that yet today. And I know you always do, right? Very few people are going to actually look out for others. So it's the same concept. Someone going to be like, hey, fellow mom, I noticed you haven't drank enough liquid today. I've noticed you haven't stepped away from your office. Go ahead and take care of yourself. Very few.
Yasmina, when you, I want to go back to the same question because there's something you said. When I asked you, why can't we have the forums? Why can't we have the talk? Did you just say that you're going to bring it up and then you're also expected to fix it? They want you to fix it is what I wrote down here. They want you to fix it, not groupthink. Wait a minute, Yasmina. I'm going to ask this again. If you see a problem and you say, hey, we should have a forum and we should talk about this. Okay, yeah, what's the fix? Well, hello. If I had that fix, I probably wouldn't be working here. I'd probably be a world leader because I am just like outrageously intelligent and I can fix any problem. But that's not how we do it. Would that be the case? I thought all you were going to just do is moderate. I just wanted you to moderate the forum. You also have to have the fix, Yasmina?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
I don't understand. Why do you have to have the fix? I thought you already did your job of bringing attention to it.
She has to have the fix, and she also probably has to know how much it's going to cost and who's going to pay for it, right?
Thank you, Polina. Thank you.
No.
Exactly this. And exactly. And also you need to defend it because between the budget that you're going to allocate to, let's say, generate more profit or margin, and the same budget to enhance the policy or DEI, let's say, rules of your company, well, the budget's going to be more interesting into what is going to generate profit for the company than just talking about the environment or DEI inequalities and how make things change. Because that's the truth. It's a business word. I mean, and this is, again, it's like personal environment and professional environment. It's different. And only a few people are are ready to step in for the same topics or rights that they are fighting for or defending outside, on their personal life, and bring it up in the professional life. So think about, for instance, the lunch break, Polina. It's such a good example because, okay, as a project manager, I have my teams, right?
Yes.
And I'm someone that I really care about people first. So even when I think about meetings and stuff, I'm always thinking about, okay, no lunch. You don't put a meeting during the lunchtime. Earlier this week, I set up a meeting. I didn't find any free time slot except at 12. And when I set up the meeting, I said, look, in the meeting invite, okay, that's the purpose of the agenda of this meeting. P.S. I didn't have any other slot. Please anticipate your lunch before 12 or right after the call. And always, because this is what I want people to think about, is lunch. You need to take care by yourself. I can tell you, I have other project managers. I had to fight with another project manager saying, don't put a meeting in the lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take a meeting from 12 to 1 or 12 to 2 when people do eat. And when I was saying this, after the person started to say, oh, yes, you're right. It's not because you're a workaholic. I'm a workaholic, but I'm also human. And I think about people just need to eat. And how many times in projects I had to go one full day without even adding the time to go to the ladies' room. Not one time, not two. I have in my agenda, I have a break between 1 to 2. I never take it. I always eat in front of my computer. So that's true, Polina, what you said, is that's the reality. That's good to have the theory. And Donato, to going back to your question, yeah, it's good. That's the issue. That is what we've noticed. And also, you need they need also give me the fix. And for the theory, we acknowledge there is an issue. Let's write some stuff within the policy, but what about putting into practice? The thing about the pumping lactation room, that's the pumping room.
Yeah. You need a room.
Sorry?
You need a room, right? You need space.
You need a room, but to be honest, I wouldn't even think about this into the work environment. I'm doing the devil advocate here because when you were talking, I was thinking, oh yes, I never thought about it. So you can think about menopause. Sometimes also you need a room for people that can pray because there's some religion that need to pray all the day.
Yes.
So even for this room, you don't have this room. So don't think about just a pumping meal. I don't even think about bringing that around the senior leadership team table. Think about having a room for lactation. But it's very interesting. Let's take it out the fact that we don't have time to even eat, etc., etc. Let's just say it's a normal human world where we have time to have a lunch break. As a project manager, woman, let's say I have a team, I have a woman, she told me that she has to, do. So what I would, for instance, appreciate is that we talked earlier, and if she tells me she has this, I would definitely, even if we have an important meeting, I'm fine to find a way that she can do it. Otherwise, you use your lunch break, if you can, to do it. Let's say you have a project manager with a man. Will you feel comfortable to say to your project manager, look, I have to pumping my milk for my child? So if it's a man, I would be very uncomfortable saying that to my project manager man, say, look, I have to go. And secondly, even if it's a woman, the project manager is a woman, you also maybe feel so uncomfortable because so many times we are working with women, and the woman can be even worse than men in this kind of environment.
Yes.
It can be very worst. Like you say, well, look, we are both women. How can you behave like this with me? So it's difficult, except if you have a room, dedicating room, like prayer room, and you just go on your own without saying to people, because actually it's not related to people. You shouldn't say that to the people. It's your own business, right? So you go there. You don't ask people if you can go to the loo. I'm going. Yes. It should be the same. It's more to have like a room dedicated for personal stuff, I would say. But it's, again, you can't have a room for the religion, another room for lactation. Then they're going to say, yeah, but I want a room because I'm doing things. It's going to become a business nightmare. And that's the truth, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm a CEO in a company. I mean, how can I think about all of this if I have the pressure from my stakeholders that I need to generate money? And I need to think, there are some people that just don't care because they don't have time and they're being paid, or they're going to be sacked because they don't do revenue, not because they're not opening a room for religion or DEI or environment. That's the truth. So how do we do to manage both realities? And this is where it needs to come from the inside, and having people ready to speak up, and be comfortable to shake the system. Or remember, Donato, but what I like to say, it's to shake the system. It's not comfortable, but okay, fine. That's the reality. What do we do about it? And let's try even for small steps. Now that you give me that, Polina, I will definitely bring it up to the table about the lactation room, because it's very interesting. I need to think about that. Yeah.
The fact that you don't have one tells me that you probably don't have females who are pregnant or new mothers.
No, we have, but they are
okay. But like not. Yeah, they're right. So they're like out of sight, out of mind, right? Is what we think when we have types of when there's something that's important, but it's not, like you said, Donato, like the causes. Why aren't we thinking about these things? Kind of out of sight, out of mind. When they come back, it's important, but by then it's too late because it should have been implemented before they had their baby. So that way you're ready whenever they do come back to work, right? And I also understand that maternity leave policies are different. Like they're not very friendly in the U.S. It's like it's crazy, and I think internationally, it sounds like we were saying 6 months to a year. That's generous. We don't have that here, so that's another thing. That may also be a reason why, depending where you are internationally, it may not. There's a different level of priority based on what your maternity leave policy looks like. But you mentioned about the women and how sometimes we're not nice to each other. Donato, another thing is that women like to say, well, I did it this way. If I had harsh conditions, then you should be able to. Well, I only got this time off. I didn't have any support. And it's like, we don't need to haze ourselves. I understand and I acknowledge that your struggles were difficult, but at the same time, you're supposed to help lift us up, not push us down. So I've seen the female supervisors that I said, I don't want to, no, I'm good. If I have a problem, I'm going to keep it to myself, because it's hard to understand it, because you're supposed to help me. You're supposed to help me, like, pave the way for us and for future generations. And if I consider myself to have a strong personality in terms of I can handle it, what are you doing to the person who can't handle it? So that's key.
Polina, sorry, Donato here. Just very quickly, we had in France a few years ago, one of our minister, she was a woman, and basically she got pregnant. She went to the hospital 3 days afterwards. She came back to the government, and doing her, like almost like as if nothing happened.
Yeah,
and it created earthquake in France. Because actually she was showing a very worst, very bad image, and put guiltiness to people, to women, because, well, look, the member of the government, she was able to go back to work 3 days afterwards. Why can't you do it? And it creates so much earthquake. We had some strikes and women saying, well, no, because and I didn't think about it at the beginning. They say, first of all, what do you want to show that 3 days afterwards you're already back, like everything is normal? It's not a good signal.
No.
And secondly, why do you want to do that? Because you want to show no. So for me, for instance, if I would have to take a maternity leave at work with my position now, I would feel maybe a little bit guilty about it, to be honest. But I'm honest with you.
Yes.
I would feel like a bit guilty where I shouldn't. But the thing is, I would think about, well, but when I'm going to be away, what first of all wisdom was what happened with my work, and then when I will be back, that's going to be difficult because I would be delayed about other colleagues, but I can't pretend having the same privileges or even think about pay rise or promotion because I was away. It's difficult.
And that's assuming that you come back. That's with everything being a perfect outcome. We're not even talking about any postpartum We're not talking about it. Yeah, that's
No.
just an arbitrary timeline of you returning with everything being perfect, whatever perfect is. Polina, you
Yeah,
were
I was
gonna
gonna
say.
say, and that guilt is it happens more often, and then that's also, and like you said, you were thinking, Yasmina, you were thinking about the company. So the people are always
Yes.
thinking about, well, my job, my position. But guess what? Jobs can fire you tomorrow. Who's gonna be there? Who's gonna be there forever? Your children, your family. So it happens a lot. Like oh man, I feel guilty because I can't help them because I physically can't walk, down there. I can't carry this heavy thing. I feel guilty like I can't participate in this meeting because I'm on bed rest, and it's not on Zoom or it's not virtual. So the guilt is very real. And then even when after fact, like, oh, I have like my kid is sick. I feel guilty. I can't be at work, but your child is sick. You have to take care of your child, but here you are. So this guilt like never stops. And you talk about people wanting to separate the work from the professional, but at the end of the day, like everything intertwines because people have no problem bothering you on your work email after hours, right, or on weekends.
It's
But the
true.
moment something personal comes into your work, oh no, your personal is supposed to be after hours. If that's 5 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever your shift is like. So we expect professional, or sorry, not professional, personal things to be during a set time. But work is forever, right? Work is 24/7. Work is that important.
Women quit their jobs due to low compensation, inflexibility in their schedule, and roles that didn't promote a healthy work life balance. They experienced microaggressions, harassment, bullying. There were no chances for advancement in the role, absent of chances for development. I have never heard a guy say that those were any of the reasons why they were leaving a workplace. Polina, I'm going to start with you. Roles that didn't promote a healthy work life balance. They experienced microaggressions. Okay? Polina, microaggressions. Does that happen?
She's had an appointment again.
Yeah.
I don't understand why her kid is always getting sick. Can't can't her babysitter do that for her? I can go on. I can go on, but
I see.
yeah, it's simple things. It's seemingly simple things that, happen to everyone because God forbid a man gets sick, the world shuts down, business can't go on, the economy crashes when a man gets sick. Um, but yeah, of course, a child who has a weakened immune system is probably going to get sick like 10 times in a month because it's nothing. How many times they're going to put their hands or something disgusting or touch somebody? Like, ugh, just thinking about it. But guess what? It happens. And it's not, why do you have to take it out on the woman, right? Why you're not saying it to the dad, to the working dad. You're not going to say, like, oh, his child's sick again. But you will tell him your wife should take him to that appointment.
Yeah, that was my point in the first one. I've never heard a guy say roles that didn't promote a healthy work life balance. And to your point, the majority of the guys I've worked with have, aside from the single guys, yeah, they had a spouse that was doing it all. I've never had that conversation where a guy was like, "Yeah, bro, I need more time to be able to. I got to go take my kid to these appointments." Not once, not once, not once, ladies. Have
And
I ever had that conversation where a guy was like, "Yeah, I got to make sure I can start taking this kid to that appointment."
and
Yeah,
something
yeah.
key is
What's
that
that?
I'm just talking about regular appointments, like checkups. We're not even talking about kids who have special needs or need extra care, right? I'm just talking about general kids who we got to check if it's COVID. We got to check if we got to check their annual checkup. They need like their shots. I'm just talking about general. But if you add anything extra, like neurological appointments, physical therapy, or kids who let's say you had a car crash, right? And your child was involved, healthy child, but now needs to make sure that they're developing healthy therapy, right? We're all about self-care and mental health and acknowledging that's a thing. So therapy, who is taking the kid to all these appointments? Sick time is not intended for that. Am I right? Sick time is not supposed to be for when you have to do daily routine things. And guess what? A lot of these places are not going to be open in your off hours. Who's gonna be like, yeah, you can come at 8 p.m. Absolutely. I will give your child a shot, because everybody functions on a Monday through Friday, roughly whatever, 9 to 5 type of work time, right? Very few places are gonna be like, we can see your kid on Saturday for that dental appointment. Absolutely.
So this is why women quit their jobs. So Yasmina, when I say this is where I'm curious in the DEI, and I just before I go into this, Yasmina, kind of a little bit about what you said today. When you're the DEI, when do you have time to talk about all this stuff? I could just imagine there's just going to be a whole bunch of eye rolls, like today another Yasmina thing. Like it's like, here we go again, bro. I'm single. I'm just worried about what bar, where I'm going, or what I'm doing tonight. Like I don't want to. This doesn't even apply to me. No. You need to start learning this. So when you ascend to a higher position, you're going to be able to, whether you're still single at that point too, you're going to be able to understand what your subordinates are going through. But yeah, Yasmina, wow, we may have to take that one off on another episode. See, Yasmina, she's like, at some point, Donato, you're gonna have to find someone else. So women quit their jobs due to low compensation, inflexibility in the schedule, roles that didn't promote a healthy work-life balance. We talked about the microaggressions, harassment, bullying. There were no chances for advancement in the role, absence of chances for development. Yasmina, when it comes to DEI, do you start with, hey, are we making sure that there are chances for development for gender, for race? Is that one of the places that you start? If a woman says there were no chances for advancement in the role, huh? Like she can already see that the stop sign is right there. That's my limit right there. And it's coming fast.
Exactly. I mean, the first answer is yes. And in a company, I'm definitely known as one of the drama person, because I'm speaking up and put things on the table. DEI is very important. We are all human, and actually, in all our lives, we can suffer from being diverse. For in any kind of an environment, it's possible in life. I think maybe at least one. Even if you're a white person, you can maybe feel, you go in a country where you have only black person, you feel a little bit like, oh well, I can understand what people can feel in my country, for instance. Anyway, bringing to the table, for instance, let's say actually we are really focusing on having more women in leadership, because it's important and it's very difficult to be part of the leadership team when you're a woman. I'm the only Black woman senior project manager in my company. And I think I would say even project manager, because I'm a senior one, but yeah, I'm the only one. But I would say I can extend that to the tech industry. So the more you go up, the less women you're gonna have, the less woman in ethnicity with ethnicity, different ethnicity will be also up. It's rare. It's very difficult. The thing is, when you are talking earlier about harassment, bullying, all this kind of situation that women are facing or can face in their life, that's true. But let's say this situation happens. It happens to me with a client where there are definitely sexism behavior. I had to fight for it, to make my director understand that what I'm saying is true. It's the truth. So let's say you're already being bullied, it's already making your life a nightmare. When you have to raise it and explain, you need to defend yourself again. So you need to live again this nightmare that you've already been through, because you need to explain and explain and explain. Even if it's a woman, another woman, you need to explain her, well, look, what I'm saying is the truth because of this, and you will be challenged. That's the worst thing. You'll be challenged, right? You're saying even if you have facts, you are being challenged. It happens to me. So it's, again, I like to say, emotional energy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of it. I mean, am I ready to fight for this? Because I know that it's going to take a lot of my emotional energy. I already need my emotional energy to take about my personal life, my children, all personal things. Do I really want to fight for again in the company? Prefer to leave and change company. That's what a lot of people is going to say. Or other, like myself, is going to fight for it. It takes my energy, but it's because I'm not thinking about myself only. I'm thinking about also the other people and all the women that can be in that situation. And in my case, for instance, in the DEI group, as I'm part of the leadership and strategy group, what I'm trying to do is share my experience to the senior leadership group, starting from the CEO, and taking personal experience I faced working with clients to make them realize that, yes, business, money, profit, I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. But if you want to achieve this, you also need your employees to feel comfortable and to feel good in their work, because this is the best way you can have people work good. If you want your money, the margin, fine. But if you have people that are very, very comfortable working, you're going to achieve it. But don't just focus on the margin and stuff without thinking about your employees' health or even well-being. So sorry, I add a lot of things to answer your question, but I hope it was quite clear.
It was. It takes it to a few of the points that I was curious about. It's a little bit about, I'm going to start with you this time, Yasmina. Imposter syndrome. Women thinking that they have not achieved the results equal to men, and those men feel that they've achieved a better result. Have you seen that a lot of women are at the point where they're stuck in an imposter syndrome?
Yes, definitely yes. I've seen a lot of I have a lot of examples on this. I would say again, it's the truth. It's a reality. It's a reality we're facing in different industries, in different countries. I'm French. I lived 4 years in Italy. Now I'm the UK, and I found this in every single countries. And imposter syndrome can be another podcast for
that. I see that. Hey, you did that one all by yourself.
Yes, but you don't need that.
But I'll take a note. Nope, I'll take a note. Thank you. That sounded like you offered that to me that time. I'm just right.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I do. But it's difficult because it's a reality. But it's, again, when you want to fight for it, do you get listened, or do people believe you? They don't. And that's again, it go back to emotional intelligence. You need to justify yourself of what you are living or experiencing almost on a daily basis. You have to fight for it. Do you have the energy, or do you really want to do it? No, it's better to give up. It's just better to give up. I don't know what you think about it, Polina.
It's easy to give up. It doesn't cost anything. But if you fight for it, then again, it's a lot of your emotional energy. And if you can't, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of worrying. And if you can't let it go, some people learn to deal with it, to manage it, to not show their emotion. But it's exhausting. It's very tiring. It is the same over and over again. And that's why that's why you're just now getting some change in certain aspects. And I think whenever you are a minority, whatever that means, if it's a language, if it's a gender, if it's any self-identification, when you are the minority, it's very hard to convince the majority to listen to you or that what you have to say is important because you don't have the credibility of a majority behind you.
Exactly. So you need to fight. It's even harder. It's harder. And it's when you've been in the minority and you even suffering, because you can use the right word, you can suffer from that. So you already suffered, so it's going to already you're very emotionally involved, and then you have also to fight for it. Oh my gosh, better to give up, to be honest.
And then then you become that imposter. Then you just say, okay, what do I need to do to make people not see me as XYZ, right? So then you're like, okay, so you want me to smile all the time. Okay, does that make you feel better about yourself? That I don't look like I have RBF resting, face? So, oh, smile, oh, laugh at you. Okay, so that means that I like your idea. Ha ha ha. Okay, cool. And now okay, yeah, well, I can get along with her. Yeah. She's always smiling. She's so happy about life because that's what they want to see.
That seems like that would be a whole nother episode, Polina.
Look, we're going to do the mini-series over here, okay? Donato Yasmina mini-series.
We're clearly going to do that. So I have two topics, two talking points left, ladies. The first is, why do women seem to have a lack of awareness of key opportunities that men more commonly know about? So I'm sorry, I lost track there of who I started with. I'll go alphabetically. Polina, how many times has a peer come to you and they know of a key opportunity and you're like, hey, how'd you know about that? Oh, well, Johnny told me. Why did Johnny find out? And you're just now getting it. It doesn't mean that the opportunity won't be there for you, but it doesn't seem like it's... How is he getting this info? How is this you just spent an hour with Johnny at lunch. He didn't bring it up to you. But as soon as he sees Craig over here, if I didn't say the name of the guy already, and he tells Craig, oh yeah, by the way, they're looking for someone to go over to UK and they're going to have to work with Yasmina. But hey, it's a great opportunity. You can go to the UK. Sorry, Yasmina. But what would you say about that? Awareness of key opportunities that men more commonly know about.
Well, also men probably make assumptions right away that a woman probably isn't going to be able to. She has kids. She just went somewhere. I didn't think she was going to want to be away from her husband. I didn't think he'd let her go. Okay. So there's also this thing that men own women that, my favorite, irrelevant, but my favorite. Oh, I couldn't cut my hair because my husband wouldn't let me. Okay. I heard that a lot when I had short hair. Oh, that's good that your husband let you cut your hair. Anyway, so yeah, it's always the 5 million reasons why a woman can't go. So I normally, I find the opportunities. So I find like distro lists or I find emails related to my fields. And then when I find the opportunities, I make sure to tell my females. I say, listen, I know you have a little baby, but you can go in 6 months when he's a little older. And I think it'd be great for your development. So there's a lot that you automatically have a list of, you think, people who are capable, people who can just drop everything and go like, oh, this is next week. Okay, well, a man probably doesn't need to plan for next week because he's got a woman behind it planning his meals, his lunches, doing his laundry. So he can just go. But and that's where it becomes about empowering and educating each other. And even for the men to realize, like, why don't you offer it to the woman and let her decide if she's interested, especially if you know that, oh, she'd probably actually be like really capable of fulfilling this position or getting this certification. Absolutely.
Yasmina, a lot of women say that they don't have awareness of key opportunities that men more commonly know about. Have you come across that?
Personally, I think maybe because it's my characters. People know that I'm very straight and they know that, well, maybe I may be able to face something that they will think that other women won't, and it's very wrong, because again, I think it's unconscious bias. So when you are saying, Polina, I say unconsciously they already projected their own experience on what a woman is, children, so unconsciously it's in the person. So as it is conscious, he doesn't know, and so if he sees the opportunity, he's going to say that it even doesn't cross his mind, just doesn't. So we can blame and yes and no because it's unconscious. It's a bit, sometimes you're also victim by what we have been surrounding during all our lives. But let's say that this is a reality as well. Unconsciously, a person at work may think about, well, it's a woman. She has already have many things to care about. It's already it's going to be a drama with her. It's going to be, oh well, she's gonna, maybe it's not the right day, the right month. Okay, it's going to be complicated. So I don't even think about asking. I mean, tell her about this opportunity. It's easier because I'll go directly to Jack, for instance, because well, I know Jack is very he's a very motivated person. You don't even think about all the issues he can have because Jack also has children, like, and his wife. So they both are the same children, but you're gonna think about Jack. Jack is less impacted by the children because his wife is doing everything.
Because he's got less responsibilities.
Exactly. So there are things that are unconscious. And to be honest, if I would be at the place of the person saying, when I took your example, well, I spoke with, for instance, Mark, and Mark didn't tell me what he just told you. I will go to Mark directly, say, Mark, what is going on? I spoke with Jack 2 minutes ago. He told me that why? I would have because that's my personality. I would go and ask just say, what? Just explain me why. And I'm sure, oh yeah, because I thought, it is easier for me because I'm single, I don't have children. So that's why people would more think about, oh, well, she doesn't have so much, a link that's going to make her stay in that position or in that country and stuff. But if you know that you're a mom and you have children and stuff, people's going to say, well, you know what? It's going to be, it's the same. It's too complicated, too many headaches. Let's ask Jack because Jack is, even if he's married, he's free.
Right. Last point here, and ladies, this has been amazing. I'm telling you, I didn't run out of topics. I skipped some talking points. We may have to come back for a part 2. We may have to. But this is the last one. I'm very sad about it. That it's the last one. Women role models for you to look up to? ? And second question, how many do you have? I want to start with you, Yasmina, because I think you've also mentioned already in this pod that there aren't a lot of women role models for you to look up to, not just in your company. I would like for you to maybe, if you have to speak outside of it, maybe there is someone at another company, and then how many do you have? Because some of the ladies I've talked to, when I told them I was going to do this topic, they're like, oh, I don't think most of my mentors or my role models, they're guys. I can't say I have a lot of women. I'm the first. So a lot of them, they were the first. So women role models for you to look up to, do you have any? And how many do you have?
Oh my gosh. I need to think about that one though. Polina, can you switch it to you? I just need to think about it.
Okay.
So that's your sign right there, Donato. The fact that she has to think about it is a sign.
Yeah, you're right. It's
sign.
True.
And I probably have one solid one, but to be honest, I'm becoming the person that people look up to and I'm also doing things that people haven't done before. So there's a lot, and I'm not originally from the US, right? Like I'm supposed to be chasing the American dream. And I thought that someone would show me the American dream, but I'm figuring that out by myself. So yes, does that evoke a question, Donato?
So Polina, yeah, it does. So now I just created, but we talked about earlier, I just created another job for you, Polina, that you're not going to get paid for, because now
Oh,
you are a mentor and you're going to have to spend, when do you get the time to spend time? Are you going to do Zoom calls with some of your peers, some of your constituents, and then talk to them about, hey, this is how I so far have done things with 3 kids. When do you have time to open yourself up to be a mentor to broadcast to the masses? Because you can't keep doing this singularly. Have this talk with Joanne and then have another talk with Emily. I just had that with Joanne. So maybe I try to get everyone together. Did I just give you another job that you're not going to get paid for, Polina?
oh, I've had that job for years and I haven't been getting paid for it. So when someone starts paying me for it, I'll be the first to sign up. But yeah, like it's not feasible to get everybody in a room. Sometimes these people are not, in one place in one organization. So that means it's outside of my work hours, of both being a mom and working. So that's my third, I guess, third, fourth, fifth job, whatever, however many infinite jobs I have. So, but it's because, it's the land of opportunity, and that's how I see my life here. Um, so I get the opportunity. There's a lot of stuff I wish I knew. There's a lot of stuff I wish somebody told me, but I just didn't have anyone who, I didn't know the people. I didn't have the social media to research this. I didn't have, I couldn't ask questions anonymously to get answers. So I just didn't have that avenue. And as I learned, I said, oh, well, that would have been nice to know 10, 15 years ago. But all I can do going forward is like, well, here's what I've done. Here's why I've been able to do it. Doesn't mean you can do it, but I can tell you how I did it. And then hopefully it works out for you. But it also requires that I have a certain set of skills and abilities that maybe you don't, but you have other sets and abilities, that you can tap into and and create maybe not the same. I think people just want to also create the same path, and I don't think no two people are meant to walk the same path. So you can follow my path and then maybe step out into the leaves or step on this rock over here, and it's kind of similar. But at the end of the day, all I can tell you is what I did, and teach you, maybe things I learned, so you don't. I mean, you could still make those mistakes because they'll help you, right? But yeah, so unfortunately, there's not a whole lot, and there are men that I respect that have been very helpful, but of course they can't teach me the things about being a female. They can't teach me about the struggles of being a female in the educational environment, in the working environment, in the relationship environment, because they just don't know. But I will help future generations as best I can.
I think Paulina here, so you helped me in this then, because I thought, Donato, you absolutely want me to nominate a woman that inspire me. So, well, I'm like Paulina then, because it's more about by sharing my experience and talk and speak up, whether it's writing articles on LinkedIn or public speaking, it's the way for me to I don't want to be pretentious here, but inspire people. The feedback that I have was always, I didn't know I would be able to do that. When I heard you, well, it makes me some hope. Like, for me, it's just great, because if I've been through difficult situation and I can inspire, even help someone to not live the same situation, that's the job is done. So it's definitely, I would say, sharing my life, my experience at work, as a Black woman as well, also working in other countries, being out of the comfort zone. I think that's the first thing that I would like to do, and I'm doing for free, as you said on it earlier.
Yes.
But it doesn't really bother me, because for me it's like normal, because I'm not expecting to be paid by that. It's to be paid for that, because I don't think people even think about it, unfortunately. Yeah. Anyway, and the second thing is being able to monitor, coach other people, and I like especially young ladies, and being the ambassador, UK ambassador for DTI, Black Women in Tech, enables me to support all the ambassadors network, but also speak up and raise awareness about DEI realities that people may face. Because so many times when I talk about DEI, people say, no, it's not as worse as you're saying. We are 2024. No, come on, it's fine. That's just to fight, literally fight. 3 years ago when I was in, 4 years ago when I was in Italy, explaining what it is to be a Black person, what we've been through in France, in Paris, or yes, even at work, when I was saying earlier, my name's different, etc., etc. Anyway, I had to definitely explain them that, well, this is the truth. I'm not joking. It's true, and it's just like, but I'm fine because I'm not. It's fine. I want to raise awareness, and I'm not afraid to speak up. So it's fine. I repeat myself over and over again. I'm fine with it. But I think with Polina, having people like us may inspire, even listening to your podcast, Donato, will inspire other people and maybe give courage for other people to speak up. It's the only way for things to change, is speak up, raise awareness, and especially help coach people in the young generation, because that's the future, the young generation.
I'm going to be respectful and in it, that would be very selfish of me. This was exactly what I thought it would be. I learned today. And I hope that others are going to gain so much more. I was trying to think of Yasmina, Polina. I mean, it rhymes. How much can you learn in a episode? Did there? Yeah. It's I've been
we'll let
holding
you
on
have
to that
it.
the entire podcast. And I may not edit that out. I may not edit that out. Ladies, thank you. I know this is very early for you here in the United States of America. Polina, Yasmina, early on a Saturday. You've probably worked all week, and I have the audacity to pull you, make you wake up early to do this. But thank you both very much, and I enjoyed it. Have a great rest of the day, ladies.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Donato.
you.
It was great. Thanks, Polina.